I stopped getting into fights in a relatively young age. Subscribe reminder, subscribe to my channel. I post videos 2 to 3 times a week, so if you want to keep watching, subscribe, and yeah, I think I'm pretty consistent with it. Back to the video. I was young at the time. I was not right in the head at the time. I didn't really have proper education. I just get into fights pretty relatively easily because, well, I could get away with it. I was a pretty good student, but teachers won't believe that I got into a fight because I was probably one of the best students at my elementary school. But however, I usually didn't get in fights. Usually it is instigated by someone. But it's not right for me to fight because it didn't take much. It didn't take a whole lot to get me to fight when I was a toddler. It's just like some kid could literally just say something funny about me, or someone made a joke about me, and then you know what? All right, it's time to duel, kids. And fighting as a kid, you don't really get hurt because we're small. Our limbs don't really have much length, and there's not much body mass or volume, so there's not much velocity in our punches. And sometimes, like probably get like a few scratches, but you're a kid. You'll heal in 1 to 2 days, and you're ready to be ready to fight again. It's not like a UFC fight where fighters would take 6 months to recover from a fight. Now, kids would egg me on to fight a kid because he was talking shit, and I would go along with it, and then I would return the favor to them, and then like just a bunch of kids fighting, like, oh yeah, no problem, fight, like heal, and then you're fine, just drink some milk and you're good. And yes, even though I was a kid and like I didn't really get hurt, I was still lucky that I didn't actually got hurt. Like most of the time it's just like some very small bruises, or at most a scratch that would annoy me for a day. But for some reason I heal so fast that any cut that I get will heal next day. Just, I guess all that stem cell was still with me at the time. And then at some point into my like growing upness, like almost entering puberty, I got a glimpse of reality when I saw 2 6-foot guys. Kids, they're 6 foot tall. They just got an amazing growth spurt. They got in a fight. The teachers that stepped in got hurt as well. And I'm thinking, that's not good. These guys are taller than me. I don't think I could take them on. So that humbled me a little bit, just watching 2 people get in a fight. One of them lost a bunch of teeth, and the other one, he won the fight, so he probably had like some scuffed knuckles, but that was about it. And the absolute life changer was a fight that I witnessed that turned south. So these 2 kids, they had a beef. Now, this is not like internet beef. Back then, when there was a beef, a fight will ensue, a physical fight, and there sometimes might be blood. And we were a little more grown up, and yes, definitely, maybe some broken bones. Now, for some reason, these 2 kids are pretty famous. They're known throughout the city, and I live in a pretty big city with maybe over 20 high schools. That's how big it is. We have like, I don't know, like 9 districts and like well over 20 high schools. And for some reason, just these 2 kids, they're well known in the city. They're popular, like throughout other schools. Usually when there's a popular kid, they're popular in that school, and that's your life. Your life is in that school. But these 2 kids, they are popular throughout the whole city. I don't know why. And multiple kids from different school districts would come visit to watch this fight that's gonna happen. I traveled to the high school where they are supposed to fight, and over there was probably over 100 kids hyping the fight. And as a teenager, I don't think that you can reason with yourself, or even if you could reason with yourself, you don't really want to back out of a fight in front of like maybe 100 kids that's just very excited to see this fight. Like a bunch of these dimwits, these rats that want to see people get into trouble. And So, as for the fight, how did it went? The two kids, they start off with a stare down. One was confident and cocky as hell. Let's call him Johnny. But the other one was calm. I'd say he was too calm. Let's call him Garrett. Garrett was, I don't know, I think he was in a trance. And after a good stare down, the time is 9. Here they go. The two power walked into each other. Johnny, the cocky bastard, just balls up his fist and starts swinging like a maniac, like kind of like how Bart Simpson was just swinging at his sister when they both just walked into each other. Garrett, after taking 2 random hits that did 0 damage to him, I guess it's because of his mindset. It didn't phase him at all. His mind was set on one thing. And that one thing is he pulls out a steak knife, the ones you see in the Brazilian steakhouse, and slashed him. Mad swinging, and the confident Johnny quickly turned into a crybaby and blurted out high-pitched screams. I'm sure he was trying to say something, but his screams were so high-pitched that you cannot make out what he was saying. And everybody in the crowd was yelling at Garrett, the calm maniac that just slashed Johnny like damn near open. And at some point he just felt danger, like the crowd is gonna jump out and screw him over, or just screw him like in front of the crowd. But I guess at some point he felt danger, like the crowd is just gonna attack him, so he decided to just pick a direction and ran through the crowd. And you know, you're young and you see a dude with a steak knife, everybody just split the seas and made a giant path for him to run out. And after that, we start hearing police sirens, and my first instinct is police sirens, a bloody kid on the floor. I'm not here to watch this. I ran. And after the fight, I tried getting updates, but everyone I know just ran from the fight, like after the fight was over. And yeah, that was the realest reality check I've ever had, or like the first real reality check that I got. I didn't get into any fights after that, unless it was against my will. I got in a fight when I was getting mugged because I live in a pretty high crime rate city. And other fights that wasn't that dramatic. There's a few fights that I saw after that, like that was worse than the one that I've seen. But this one stuck to my head and saved me from a lot of altercations, because like, hey, I just saw a guy got slashed open, not stabbed, but slashed, which is arguably worse in some ways. I mean, it's probably depending on the area it was slashed open. I don't know. I don't want to get too technical, but then, yeah, after that, I just didn't want to get in a fight anymore, because some kid that I'm fighting might pull out a knife or a gun. You just don't know. And in this day and age, with the internet, right, people can get their hands on a gun really easily, and typically they steal it from their parents, and the parents are, they're not going to do shit about it because they don't care about their kids. So let me teach you, don't get into fights. Before you fight, think, what will you gain out of this? Just fighting in general, it typically surmounts to nothing, or you getting hurt in the long term. The older you are, the longer it's going to hurt. And who's paying for the damage? You are, most likely. And the guy that you beat, who's paying for the damage? He is. But what are odds of that happening, that you'll win 100% of your fight? So if you're an adult, this should be pretty common sense. I don't feel like I need to tell an adult about this, but this video is mostly directed towards teenager. If you're a teenager, odds are you may have friends that try to egg you on into a fight. And for people like that, like people that try to trick you into like getting in a fight with other people, here's my advice. Beat their ass and shut them up for good. After you're done beating their ass, leave them. Don't make that person your friend anymore. And take my philosophy and take care of yourself, because nothing really matters except for yourself at the end of the day. No one that wants to see you fight really cares about you, because if you end up like Johnny, right, these friends that you have, they probably won't give a damn about you. They're probably gonna run off when shit hits the fan. overall, yeah, that's the end of this video. Subscribe to my channel. See ya.